India had already anticipated such coercive tactics and quietly shifted its diesel export strategy. In recent months, Indian refineries, particularly Nayara Energy, Reliance Energy, have routed their diesel exports away from Europe towards rapidly growing markets in Africa and Asia. They have become increasingly difficult to ignore, while the European Union makes a show of enforcing sanctions and penalizing others for trading with Russia. Namaskar, I welcome you all to the Uday Bharat National. Myself Deepak Kumar Rath. बात भारत की, and today I will speak about India's diesel diplomacy, a masterstroke that exposed Europe's double standards. In a bold and timely diplomatic maneuver, India has once again proven that the whims of Western powers no longer shape its foreign policy but by its own national interest. 3 days ago, the European Union slapped unilateral sanctions on Nayara Energy, India's second largest refinery, accusing it of refining Russian origin crude. What followed was a rather undiplomatic threat from the US Senator who went so far as to say that the Indian economy should be crushed for continuing its energy ties with Russia. But instead of succumbing to the pressure, India responded with remarkable clarity and strength. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri made it clear that India's energy security is sacrosanct and non-negotiable, declaring that Indian policies are decided in New Delhi, not in Washington or Brussels. What has gone unnoticed by many is how India had already anticipated such coercive tactics and quietly shifted its diesel export strategy. In recent months, Indian refineries, particularly Nayara Energy, Reliance Energy, have routed their diesel exports away from Europe towards rapidly growing markets in Africa and Asia. Countries like Kenya, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Indonesia, and Sri Lanka have emerged as new and eager buyers of Indian refined fuels. This not only insulated India from the impact of European sanctions, but also expanded its economic and geopolitical footprint across the global south. This move has turned the tables. The European Union had become increasingly dependent on Indian refined products. Ironically, processed from Russian crude now finds itself cornered with refining capacity already tight across the continent and geopolitical tensions running high. Europe's energy security is now under threat due to its own short-sightedness. The reality is that the European Union had quietly turned a blind eye to the origin of Indian diesel as long as it kept their industries and households warm. But now, with India taking a firm stand and redirecting its supplies, the hypocrisy of Europe's stand has been laid bare. Europe's double standards on Russian oil are not new, but they have become increasingly difficult to ignore, while the European Union makes a show of enforcing sanctions and penalizing others for trading with Russia. It continues to import significant quantities of Russian oil, just in more indirect and obscure ways. Russian crude is funneled through Kazakhstan's Caspian Pipeline Consortium CPC blend, relabeled and sold to European buyers as Kazakh origin oil. It's a clever game of plausible deniability. Furthermore, countries like Greece and Turkey continue to provide shipping and insurance services to Russian oil tankers, enabling a thriving shadow of trade. In essence, Europe is still financially fueling Russia's war effort while preaching morality to others. India's principled stand and strategic foresight are commendable. By expanding trade with countries in Africa and Southeast Asia, India has not only diversified its export base but also deepened its diplomatic and economic ties with the developing world. This is smart statecraft artwork, one that doesn't rely on token gestures of ideological grandstanding but on real politics grounded in national interests. Nayara Energy's decision to challenge the European Union sanction legally in international courts is also significant. It sends a message that Western economic bullying will no longer go unchallenged, especially when it is rooted in hypocrisy and selective morality. India, as a sovereign nation, has the right to engage in energy trade that ensures affordable fuel for its citizens and keeps its economy running, especially at a time when global energy markets remain volatile. Ultimately, the European Union sanctions on India may end up hurting Europe more than India in trying to punish a rising power that dares to act independently. The West is only exposing its own vulnerability and moral inconsistency. India, meanwhile, has played a masterstroke, protecting its interests, expanding its influence, and asserting its sovereignty in an increasingly multipolar world. That's all for today. Stay tuned with Uday Bharat National. Thank you.